in each of those scenes as it relates to the book. And then when it came to bringing on the stunt coordinator.
Uh-oh, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are in the spotlight again. A judge has just ordered the unsealing of all third-party communications, and that could explain why Hugh Jackman has apparently been ghosting Ryan Reynolds. Sorry, Blake and Ryan's celebrity privileges don't apply here. The court's decision removes the protections that usually keep private interactions under wraps, which means private texts, emails, and messages involving not only the main players but also agents, studios, and other third parties are now subject to public scrutiny. Subtle tension has been building for weeks. A missed text here, a cold shoulder there, and those close to the trio could feel it. Hugh has been unusually quiet around Ryan, stepping back for reasons insiders say are purely his own. Ryan Reynolds is panicking in real time because the judge's intervention eliminated the usual buffering, leaving every message exposed. Texts from Taylor Swift, private exchanges with Ryan, and other third-party communications are all at risk of surfacing in the court motions scheduled for summer. The filing deadline was non-negotiable. Everything had to be refiled by Wednesday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern. With public oral arguments set for Thursday, this strict timeline left no room to spin, stall, or soften the story before it became public, exposing every detail to the light of day. Oral arguments on the Wayfair party's motion for summary judgment and Lively's motion for spoliation sanctions are scheduled for next Thursday, January 2nd. The immediate fallout has been brutal, and from the outside, almost comical. Ryan lost control of his narrative for the first time in years. Normally, he shapes the joke before it lands, crafting his public persona with witty tweets and self-aware humor. But that strategy collapsed the moment the court revealed that private communications would be exposed. Sarcasm offered no protection, charm provided no shield, and even carefully curated marketing could not save him from unfiltered scrutiny. The public now has the right to attend the arguments and follow, along with unredacted summary judgment and spoliation materials. And continued sealing of these materials cannot be justified. Within 48 hours, the Hollywood response shifted dramatically. Nobody rushed to defend Ryan Reynolds. Social media was silent or distanced. In the industry, influence is measured less by statements than by silence. And once the court order landed, the phone calls almost seemed to stop entirely. This is what a real meltdown looks like, not public screaming, but the sudden disappearance of the invisible shield that once protected him from consequences. Things became even more tense when Hugh Jackman went completely silent. Calls went unanswered, texts ignored, joint appearances vanished, and the usual playful banter that fans adored disappeared. A planned public outing at Sutton Foster's cabaret went ahead without Reynolds, with Jackman attending alone. That single image caused more damage than 1,000 gossip posts ever could. Hollywood's ultimate bromance might be hitting a speed bump, insiders suggest. Ryan was the one reaching out, calling, texting, and trying to maintain the usual routine, while Hugh disengaged entirely, a move that sources insist had nothing to do with a busy schedule. The reason cited for Hugh Jackman's distance was clear: legal exposure, potential depositions, and ongoing litigation. He deliberately avoided any situation where his name, messages, or casual remarks could be used in a courtroom transcript, maintaining distance to protect himself. Despite Ryan Reynolds texting, calling, and attempting to make plans, Hugh simply didn't respond. A striking example occurred when the duo was supposed to attend Sutton Foster's cabaret. Together, Jackman went solo, leaving Reynolds in the group behind. At the root of this tension lies Ryan and Blake Lively's ongoing legal battle. Jackman wasn't just a friend, he was the safest ally. Their bromance, long leveraged by studios as marketing gold, suddenly became a liability. His decision to distance himself wasn't emotional, it was strategic. He assessed the consequences of unsealed evidence and chose not to be the next exposed party. When the first major ally steps back, Hollywood notices, and that marked the first visible crack in the protective wall. Amid this, settlement talks were underway, adding another layer of urgency. Reporters and insiders prepared to attend courtroom proceedings in freezing Manhattan weather, highlighting the shift from playful publicity to procedural scrutiny. The situation intensified further when Marvel Studios began reassessing internal exposure linked to Deadpool and Wolverine, signaling meetings, legal reviews, and risk assessments. What was intended to be a celebratory return transformed into a careful evaluation of potential liability. Jackman was no longer discussed in terms of promotion or press. He was being considered for deposition. Ryan Reynolds, meanwhile, reportedly found himself sidelined from creative discussions he once controlled. A dramatic reversal for someone whose career has been built on shaping narrative and humor. Project delays and the SAG strike compounded the pressure, turning what should have been triumphs into exercises in damage control. By Tuesday, anticipation grew for the release of unsealed communications, revealing the extent of Reynolds' behind-the-scenes control. Far from casual guidance, the texts demonstrated orchestrated messaging for agents, Sony executives, cast members, and media outlets, all expected to deliver precisely scripted statements. Polite requests escalated into insistent demands, which then turned into threats, demonstrating a progression from persuasion to coercion. Meetings stretched for hours, voices were raised, and participants were left stunned. These unsealed records painted a stark contrast to Reynolds' public persona, the laid-back, witty figure, beloved by fans, revealing a relentless drive for control behind closed doors. Once the seal lifted, power dynamics shifted. WME, Sony Pictures, and multiple producers openly pushed back, no longer contained by legal black bars. Objections that had been hidden for months now became visible, proving that prior silence had been compliance through containment, not agreement. The unsealed texts exposed obsession and strategic manipulation, illustrating that Reynolds' control tactics relied on secrecy and assumed acquiescence. That strategy collapsed the moment a judge removed the cover, revealing patterns of pressure, disregard for dissent, and meticulously orchestrated influence. What had been whispers behind the scenes became fully documented, and Hollywood could no longer ignore the reality. Reynolds' carefully curated image concealed a deeply calculated and controlling approach, now laid bare for all to see. Hollywood excels at pretending not to notice, but once documents are public, pretense becomes impossible. The court ordered that all parties refile materials by Wednesday, January 21st, at 1:00 p.m. Eastern, just 2 days away, leaving no time to spin, stall, or soften the story. What makes this particularly brutal is that the pushback came not from outsiders, but from Reynolds' own ecosystem, his agency, the studio, and producers, the very people who normally shield stars from themselves. When those groups stop nodding along and start documenting, the game is over. This isn't cancellation, it's accountability catching up at the speed of email. Hugh Jackman's decision to prioritize survival over loyalty emerges as the smartest move in this saga. His September 2023 divorce, once framed as a personal matter, now aligns with escalating lawsuits, production pauses, and mounting rumors, casting his timing in an entirely new light. Reynolds' online jokes remain sharp, but privately he is visibly frustrated. Jackman has given him the cold shoulder, signaling struggle without saying a word. As legal stress mounted, filming complications grew, and public speculation intensified, Jackman's PR strategy shifted. The duo branding faded. Joint jokes disappeared, and focus turned inward. Protecting his image became paramount, not participating in shared damage control. Crucially, Jackman reportedly refused to take part in coordinated messaging. No drafts, no group statements, no scripted responses. His silence was intentional, a boundary informed by understanding the consequences of allowing others to dictate his words amid a legal storm. Every missed call, skipped appearance, and unanswered text communicates the same message without creating a transcript. Survival over loyalty. This decision exposes just how radioactive the situation had become when decades-long friendships transform into legal liabilities. Meanwhile, Reynolds is left doing what he does worst, over-communicating, overreaching, and trying to control people who have already chosen self. Jackman's silence is not betrayal, it is smart self-preservation, and the fact that it stings so much highlights how dependent Reynolds had become on that alliance. With Taylor Swift reportedly out of the inner circle and now Jackman stepping back, Reynolds faces a growing vacuum of support. Hollywood loves a bromance, but even the strongest friendships can crack under pressure. Since then, every move has been cautious. No shared interviews, no playful banter, no coordinated damage control, just distance. Fear drives every choice, fear of subpoenas, transcripts, and deadlines, and the collapse of trust is palpable. Once the unsealing order hit, Reynolds visibly snapped. His online behavior became twitchy, reactive, and restless. Not chaotic in a humorous way, but erratic enough to reveal discomfort with losing narrative control. Posts went up faster, replies felt rushed, and timing faltered. Humor, once effortless, became mandatory damage control, and the audience noticed. The unsealed texts confirm what insiders suspected. Reynolds was far more involved than publicly portrayed. Patterns emerge of narcissistic framing, victim reversal, and obsession with loyalty enforcement. Every issue was filtered inward. Every problem became a story of personal unfairness and sacrifice. Criticism became cruelty, accountability became harassment, and anyone who failed to align immediately was cast as hostile or disloyal. Loyalty was treated as currency, and panic set in when the balance dropped. The public nice guy mask could not survive documentation. Screenshots ignore tone, timelines ignore charm, and once communications are unsealed, the contrast between public persona and private conduct is undeniable. The smile no longer distracts, the wink no longer disarms. The persona collapses under the weight of recorded reality. Transparency dictated by court filings leaves Reynolds with a mountain of problems that humor cannot fix. This is not gossip or rumor. It is scheduled, time-stamped exposure, a relentless accounting that cannot be escaped or joked away. What once seemed playful and self-aware now reads as panic, control, and obsession made visible for all to see.